Hey, I made this video, and all the clips I used were done under fair use, and the audio wasn't used for very much most of them, and they were only the clips that were put on their YouTube channel, so they were already publicly available for free, but in their infinite wisdom, Netflix decided to block that video before the premiere was. So I hope you enjoy the exact same audio from that video with some Sonic Frontiers footage I recorded during my first playthrough as backing. If something doesn't make sense now because I can't show you what I was talking about even though it was publicly available and used under fair use, blame them and not me. The bastards. Anyway, enjoy. So, I just finished Sonic Prime, and this is how I felt about it. So, Sonic Prime takes place across 8 episodes. The first is about 45 minutes in length, and the other 7 are about 25 minutes long. So, a basic overview of the plot. Eggman is trying to get the Paradox Prism, Sonic touches it, everything goes wrong, and Sonic ends up travelling to an alternate universe, or Shatterverse, where he finds a shattered portion of the Paradox Prism, but if he touches it, he gets zapped to another Shatterverse. The first one he ends up in is a city taken over by Eggman, or rather, Eggmen. Eggman plays a surprisingly small role with the plot, with the Chaos Council being the main antagonists, and the alternate universe version of his friends sometimes giving him trouble and fighting him as they don't know who he is. Long story short, the final episode, he is in a pirate reality where all of the characters have really bad Irish accents for some reason.
"'Tis indeed. Now move along. You need to hurry to get a good seat.
Everybody got seatbelts on?
Seatbelts? Well, that was quick.
They try to get the shard, Sonic accidentally touches it, and without giving away too many spoilers, it ends with Sonic being confronted by a certain black hedgehog that tells him that his world,
This world, where life is strong. In this world, life's an open book.
shut it! He tells him that his world no longer exists, and it ends with a cliffhanger, therefore essentially confirming another series is in the works. Mind you, with the state of animation cancellations at Netflix, who knows? And that's a basic story overview. It's great. It's a good time. It's a nice time. However, the problem is that it feels like at least half of each episode is a fight scene. They're interesting and varied enough for me not to mind too much, but occasionally it can get tiring seeing so many fight scenes, one after the other after the other. That's not to say that it doesn't have its slower moments, which are refreshing and more often than not get characterization right. Again, I don't want to spoil too much, but there are some scenes where I was like, wow, they really went there. That's quite dark, but it does also have light-hearted and jokey moments. The comedy isn't as good as that from the Sonic Boom TV show, but the action is leagues above that of Boom. However, occasionally a joke might not land super well, or characters can be slow to catch up on the plot, which watchers picked up like 5 or 10 minutes ago. For example, the first time that Sonic touches the prism, he is sent to the Chaos Council city, which is called New York City, by the way. I'm ashamed that I chuckled at that. In New York, he meets the resistance of that universe's version of Rouge and Knuckles, and they're fighting against the Chaos Council. Tails, 9, is also there, but he's not working with them. He accidentally travels to another universe and meets them again, but he doesn't realise that this is a different universe for a long while. Even though everything is completely different again, they are completely different again, they don't know who he is. But I get it. The target audience includes younger children who are stupid and can be slow to catch on to things. That said, the show does seem to understand that a fairly large portion of the audience are older, so once something has been spelt out for the kids, it moves on. However, that's not to say everything is spelt out. There are some things that I doubt younger audiences will understand that have some darker elements. For example, Rusty Rose, or Amy in New York, is a cyborg under the control of the Chaos Council. However, it is shown that there is a flicky inside her, the same as the Badniks.
Come on, Amy. Some compassion for your boy Sonic. You can't suddenly be this heartless.
Birdie would disagree.
That's so messed up.
A younger audience member might go, oh, so she is under the control of the Chaos Council, and that's where they'll stop. But an older audience member would likely make the connection that this means at some point, Amy, of that world, was captured by the Chaos Council, experimented on and weaponized by them, hollowing out her internal organs to make room for the machinery, essentially killing her, and using her body as a shell for the cyborg elements. Like I said, it has got dark elements. If I were to compare the story tone of Sonic Prime with a game, it would probably be that of Unleashed, where it does have scenes where it takes itself seriously, but there are some joking elements and comedy here and there which can bring you out of the story, but for the most part, it's pretty good. And I felt that the story, for the most part, was well paced. It never felt like you were in one place dealing with one thing for too long. But also, most of the time, it didn't feel like you were rushing away through one world and its characters to get to the next. Occasionally, the episodes ended quite abruptly, and it felt like sometimes the writers were like, oh, that's the 25-minute mark, we need a cliffhanger to end the episode on, a la classic Doctor Who.
Stop, don't move.
Rather than being 8 episodes, 7 of them shorter, I'd rather have just had it be 4 episodes which are longer. Also, the ending of the series kind of comes out of nowhere. It's set up the whole way through that Shadow is stuck between realities, but he just kinda shows up at the end and the credits roll and I'm just sat here like, oh, well, I guess that's over. The animation is absolutely fabulous the whole way through. Wild Brain Studios really knocked it out of the park animation-wise. I'd put them pretty much on par with Marza, who I believe have done all the pre-rendered CGI Sonic stuff since 2005. However, I do feel like Marza take the cake through, like, visually, effects and materials, but I think their animation stuff is on par. But Prime does have a very distinct style. I really love the stylized cartoon fur textures that are used on all the characters. It gives Prime its own unique style that separates it from all the other content, and I really like that. However, it can appear quite cheap at times. For example, in episode 5, I think, they're in a dark area and the lighting that's used there can feel a bit off. I was looking at, like, the lighting here really looks like the lighting you might find in something like Sonic Forces or Frontiers. It feels like occasionally the shadows aren't dark enough, especially in their mouths at times. Sometimes the inside of their mouths are just as bright as places in direct sunlight, but for the most part, specifically outside light or interior lighting scenes, the lighting was good. It was just those few instances where they were almost in complete darkness, where things started to look a little strange. Now for the voice cast, and for the most part, they're fantastic. Let's start with Devon Mack, who does the voice of Sonic. I really like his portrayal. It's not my favourite, Jason is still my boy, but in general, he sounds like a really good mixture of Ryan Drummond's voice.
Alright! That's it! Yes! Here we go! Level up! Alright, let's go! Hey guys, better luck next time! You're gonna pay for this!
And Roger Craig Smith's voice, pre-Frontiers anyway.
Better kick things up a notch! One of my favorite spots is all ruined. There's sand everywhere! Green Hill's looking a lot more like Sand Hill right now.
And here is Devon's voice.
Everybody got seatbelts on?
Occasionally I noticed that some of his stuff, like his cries in Prime where he's hit, sounds similar to Jason Griffith's early Sonic X stuff. In terms of the other actors, for the most part, they're great. I easily think this is my favourite voice that's been used for Amy in Rouge. Knuckles sounds great most of the time. Occasionally there's a line where I'm like, oh, that didn't sound as much. I think person X or Y would have done a better job there, but for the most part, it's absolutely great. I feel the same about Tails' voice. Most of the time he's great, but there are occasions where it can feel a little forced, especially with 9, but for the most part, it's pretty good. Shadow's voice is good. I think I prefer him to the current voice, but I still prefer the older voice actors for him, especially my boy Jason. However, Shadow doesn't really have enough screen time for me to fully appreciate his voice here, so take of that what you will. And Eggman, or I think he also does the voices of the Chaos Council members, but Eggman, wow, Brian Drummond, not Ryan Drummond, Brian Drummond, does a fantastic job. He has a signature charm and almost gravelly yet jolly voice Mike Pollock uses, but can be very aggressive and scary times, more like that of Dean Bristow's Eggman. On the sad, sad day that Mike no longer voices Eggman, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to Brian taking up the reins. So, overall, what do I think of Prime? Well, my opinion is that it's definitely the best Sonic show to watch from start to finish. Sure, it has some hiccups and minor annoyances on the way, like that damn baby Eggman. I hate it, and the kid one too, he annoys me. However, overall, it's very enjoyable. It's a very good time. I think I prefer it to the movies, honestly. The animation is fantastic, the voice work is great. As I said in my Frontiers review, I don't really like to give numbered scores on things, because everyone puts a different number at a different level of value. But for me, a 5 out of 10 is something that's perfectly fine. Nothing incredible, but it might be worth your time if you're a bit bored one day. If I had to give Sonic Prime a number, it would probably be a 7 or 8 out of 10. It's a very enjoyable experience from start to finish. It's got small Easter eggs here and there that you'll only know if you know, looking at you, 1992 in the Orca. Yes, it's an enjoyable time that I'd recommend. It's not mind-blowing, it's not the best piece of television I've ever seen, but it's an enjoyable experience, and I'd say it's worth your time.
But I can't touch it or I, poof.